Lillahi ta'ala. All right. So now, insha'Allah ta'ala, we want to talk about mustahiqu al-zakah. The deserving recipients. Yani the zakat recipients. Zakat recipients. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل. This means, and that's in Surah Tawbah. I don't remember the number of the ayah. That uh, the charities, as-sadaqat, the charities, this means the obligatory charities. Yani, it's valid to call zakat sadaqah, charity. That's a valid name for zakat. But it's not charity with the meaning that it's optional. The charities, the obligatory charities are innama, merely, that means only. Yani innama is for hasr. Innama sadaqat. The charities merely are innama sadaqatu lil fuqara, for the impoverished, wal masakin, and the poor or needy, wal amilina alayha, and for the zakat agents, the zakat agents, the zakat officers, wal mu'allafati qulubuhum, and for those whose hearts need to be reconciled. I'm going to explain everything for you, inshallah. Wa fir riqab, and for the slaves. Wal gharimin, and for those who have debts. Wa fi sabilillah. MashaAllah. وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and for the sake of Allah, fighting for the sake of Allah in jihad. The fighters, the volunteer fighters. وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ, and for someone on the way. For someone on the way. All right. So this is the ayah. Let's see. إنما الصدقات للفقراء. The charities are merely for the fuqara, let's say impoverished. I'm choosing that word to try to express how poor they are. They are so poor. Maybe indigent. Indigent. So poor. I hope I spelled that right. This is the one who cannot even get half of what he needs for a day. If he needed 10 per day, he cannot even find 5. So he's someone who can get zakat. And number 2, al-masakin, let's say, for example, needy. So he's poor too, but he's not impoverished or indigent. So impoverished is the faqir. Needy is the miskin. If he needed 10 per day, maybe he can find 7 or 8, for example. Or he has something. The case of this second one is that he has something. Or he can get some money, like he's able to go out and hustle and get something. But not everything he needs. The first one, he can't even hustle to get anything. And he doesn't have a little bit, like what he has is really, really little bit. The needy one, he has something that holds him down, something holding him down, but he is poor. Impoverished is worse. Now, you should know that a person can be poor even if he has a slave, can still be poor. And even if he has a house, and even if he has a car, and even if he has nice clothes, he can still be poor with all of this. How? Because it could be that he cannot do without those. And it could be that he can't sell them also. Like maybe he has some clothes. Who's going to buy them? Just because he has nice clothes doesn't mean he's going to find someone to buy them. But maybe he needs those nice clothes. Actually, not just to be fancy, but maybe he needs that for some reason. Like, maybe he's a sheikh. So he has some nice clothes, but he's poor. And the same thing about the car and the house and the slave. Maybe he needs those. He cannot do without those. How could it be that he needs a slave? There's different scenarios for that too. Like he might be busy, or one who is busy with several responsibilities. So then he has a slave. For example, this slave, he makes the slave act like a secretary. So he needs him. Can't do without him. So this doesn't make him rich or something else, Yanni. From what I just told you, you can imagine that he's poor even if he has a slave. Poor guy with his slave too. Maybe they're buddies. Okay, so we have this impoverished one and this needy one. What can be done for them? Well, in the first place, the caliph, if there were one, he is going to establish a Zakat Department. And he is going to appoint Zakat officers. And he is going to commandeer some of the Muslim land on his authority. So to make room for the animals that get collected as zakat, and to make silos for the grains and the fruits that are collected as zakat, and for vaults for the bullion that gets collected as zakat. And he's going to need to appoint also guards. They would be amongst these zakat officers. And he's going to have accountants who are zakat officers. And he's going to have officers who make rounds. They make rounds in the town. So they go around to the houses and collect the zakat. And so they're going to have logs, records. And there's a way that sometimes when you give zakat, you don't have the exact camel you need. So you're going to give a higher camel or a lower camel. And then you might get change back if you give a higher camel, some change back in silver coins, for example. Or you might give a lower camel and give some change too. There's rules for all of that. So there's going to be a Zakat Department. So what does the caliph do? He would set aside a share for the needy and the impoverished. And what will he do for someone? He looks into the person's case. Does this person have a trade? Means like he knows he's a carpenter, he's an electrician or something. He can put carpets or something. Or is he a trader, a salesman? If so, if he's like any of this, then the caliph will give him as much as he needs to start his own business and then be self-sufficient. Is he, for example, mentally challenged or physically, as they say? So that means he can't work. If so, then the caliph will purchase for him real estate so that he can rent it out and then generate money and then be self-sufficient. Is this person an elder? This poor person? If so, then the caliph will give him enough money for a year. And then if he's still alive the next year and he's still poor, he can get another stipend if you want. Look how nice that is, how beautiful that is. So then becomes more clear for you that in Islamic law, you don't have to pay taxes. Zakat is not a tax. Taxes are arbitrary tolls imposed on the populace by unjust rulers. Arbitrary means they just do whatever they want to do. It's not based on any evidence or anything. It's all by a whim. Anything that's in taxes. Which thing they're going to tax, how much they're going to tax, all by whim. So that's injustice. And then not just that, what they do, who decides where that tax money goes? Not you. Here, the religion told us where the charities go. So if those unjust rulers want, they're going to take all your tax money and send it to another country to support a war, for example, or the like. Or they might take your tax money and then they send it to someplace so they can make Sesame Street episodes of Sesame Street with your tax money, or anything they want to do. So, any questions there about the first two, the impoverished and the needy? طيب. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها. And the zakat agents, they are eligible for zakat if the caliph appointed them without giving them a salary. As for any zakat agents that have a salary, they are not eligible for zakat. And the caliph will do whatever is more advantageous for the Muslims. If it's more advantageous, if it's better for the Muslims to give the zakat agents a particular known salary, then he's going to do that. And if it's better for the Muslims to give the zakat agents zakat, then he's going to do that. وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ, and those whose hearts need reconciling, or those whose hearts need consolation. Inshallah, that's spelled right. Those whose hearts need consolation. Consolation means comfort. Like some person have something in his heart against you, or against something, or reservations about you or something. I'm just trying to describe what this means. What it means for someone's heart to need consolation. So this has different cases. Like it could be, these are some of the cases the scholars spoke about. Could be a new Muslim who does not yet feel united with the Muslims, doesn't feel comfortable with the Muslims. He is a Muslim though, and he still feels alienated, like he's not comfortably in. So then he can be given zakat money for reconciling his heart, consoling his heart, or for uh, convert rulers or authorities. Same ruler here, rulers, authorities, and the likes of that. When it is hoped that their peers would see that the Muslims gave them money and then they would want to become Muslims. Very important. What does that look like? Like imagine there's a caliph. Now it looks like these days Muslims are waking up and they're getting back into being more serious about their religion. And soon, inshallah, Allah will send the Mahdi. So then the Mahdi comes, establish the caliphate. And these kuffar right now, they're living in crazy world anyway. So he's going to come, inshallah. If they're still in crazy world when he comes, they're going to be baffled. And they're not going to know what to do with him. And then he's going to make the Muslims come up in a big way that the kuffar won't know what to do. And then there would be, let's say, now here's the imagination. Then there would be some ruler somewhere, some chief somewhere, some diplomat, some prime minister, a president somewhere. That he does embrace Islam. Oh, big news. Then he could be given the zakat. Yani given zakat. So it means the caliph's going to break him off with something nice. Then his peers would say, whoa, he became a Muslim and look what they did for him. Then maybe they would want to become Muslims. And you might say, is this not encouraging insincerity? And the answer is that's not encouraging insincerity. Rather, it's encouraging people to embrace Islam sincerely. Embrace Islam sincerely. Now, someone might say, but wasn't the money a motivator for him? And then we might say, yes, but he embraced Islam though, right? Yes? Okay, then that's fine. That's cool. He can take the money. He embraced Islam. And now he's with us, inshallah. That's how you do it. Yep. It was said that there was one of the Sahaba. He had slaves. So if he would see that one of his slaves was like very religious, he would free him. He would set him free. So he would be setting slaves free. So one person said to him, don't you see what they are doing? They're just doing like that so you can set them free. They're tricking you. He said, let's be tricked. It's okay. Means they are praying, they are adhering to the religion. They found something that motivated them. It's fine. Let them do it. Okay, so also there's another kind that goes here. Those would be the Muslims on the hostile borders. Muslims on the hostile borders. This means there's Muslim land. So we're still here in our imagining there was a caliphate. So caliphate means empire, basically. Many countries, all one thing. And maybe some of those countries are on the borders with non-Muslim countries. Now, if they have treaty, then that's fine. But what if they don't have a treaty? So then this is hostile border here. They could potentially get attacked. So those Muslims there need to always be on alert and ready to fight. So what does the caliph do for them? He has a choice. Either he will equip them and he can sponsor that by the zakat money, or he will station troops there. He will do whatever is most advantageous for the Muslims. So, إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب, and for the slaves. Which slaves? The slaves that have contract to buy their freedom. Let's say slaves with self-purchase contract. What's that? That is that someone had a slave, for example, and then his slave said to him, "Master, I want to buy my freedom." So then he says to him, "Okay, you can buy your freedom from me for such and such amount, paid in 2 installments, for example, not less than 2. That's what the Prophet taught the companions. You can buy your freedom from me for such and such amount, paid in 2 installments. So now, if they did a valid self-purchase contract, now this slave can go and work and earn money and buy his freedom. And if he has this contract, then it's valid for him. He becomes a valid zakat recipient. So the caliph can give him money to help him purchase his freedom. And don't forget, all these zakat recipients, not a condition that the caliph is the one who gives them something. Also, you are allowed to just distribute your own zakat. It's another difference between the justice of this religion here and the injustice of some others. So they're going to take your tax money and they're going to do what they want to do with it. Not that you can't do something with it or even have any say in what they're going to do with it. So you could, if there was such a slave and you had zakat money, you can give him your zakat money. He's a valid recipient. So to help him pay for that. And so from here, then don't forget an important point that our Shaykh, rahimahullah, would make a point to clarify. It is instances like this that prove that Islam did not come to abolish slavery. Islam did not come to abolish slavery. Rather, slavery is valid according to the laws of Prophet Muhammad and the laws of previous prophets. No Jew or Christian should say slavery is invalid, because you're going to say to him, you don't believe in Abraham then. You didn't know that Abraham had a slave woman named Hajar, and this slave woman gave birth to his baby Ishmael, and Ishmael became a prophet? That's in your own book. That's valid. But they go against their book on so many levels. Rather, what we're going to say about this, we're going to say slavery has rules. So, for example, you cannot kidnap people. That's not how you get a slave. So that's against the rules. That's going to be a free person. That's going to be a kidnapped person, not a slave. And other rules. How are you going to get one? Through war. That's how they originally get generated. Through war, and then through birth, when the baby is not the master's baby. That's another rule. The master has a baby with the slave woman, the baby is free. Can't have a baby with a slave woman, make your baby a slave. But if she has a baby from other than the master, then that's a slave. That baby's a slave. That's why you can't marry a slave woman unless you have an excuse, so that your baby won't be a slave. And other rules. But those types of things that a Muslim needs to be firm about, because some non-Muslims going to expect you to cower here. They're going to expect you to cower here. You better capitulate or else. So no, there's no capitulation here. Rather, this is valid. And we know just how to deal with you too. Okay, moving on. وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَالْغَارِمِينَ. And those who are in debt, the indebted, indebted with a silent B. Those who have debts, they are also zakat recipients. Even if they acquired those debts sinfully, but repented, and their repentance showed up, then they are eligible to take zakat so that they can pay their debts. And you should know that there's a case that the scholars mention here, which is the case of someone who takes a debt to, as we would say, squash a beef. He takes a debt to prevent a feud, like a family feud. There's two families or two clans, and someone was found dead. Now these families, they want to kill each other. The sons and the cousins on both sides, now they're it's it. Gonna be fighting. It's a problem between two families. So it's valid. It's a good thing to do for someone to say, no, wait, I will take care of the blood money. Don't fight. And then he takes a loan to handle the blood money of this killed one here. Even if he's rich, in this case, he can take it for this good deed. There's some cases when a rich person can take zakat. This is one of them. Number one and number two for sure is not a rich person. And who is not included under number one or number two? Someone who can go and work and make money, but he just doesn't have any right now. He's broke, his pockets are empty, but he can just go work and get money. Then this one's not poor. He's able-bodied one, able to work, to acquire, that is, able to acquire, not just able to work, able to acquire. It's possible that a person is poor and he is able to work, but he cannot find work. And who else? وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. The volunteer soldiers. That's what fi sabilillah means here. Volunteer soldiers. Not any good deed. Who are the volunteer soldiers? They are the ones who go to the jihad without being registered soldiers. Registered soldier, I mean by it, he has a salary. Like he's in the reserve. He's in the army reserve. They pay him. If they call him, he has to go. So he doesn't take zakat this one. But what would happen? What would happen that you need to know? Let me make more clear for you how it goes and how it went. The jihad is two cases: personal obligation and communal obligation. Personal obligation is when the Muslims are invaded or the enemy settles in range of the Muslims. That's personal obligation. So that includes women. Communal obligation is when the Muslims are strong, then at least once per year, they will send out, I'm going to call it a da'wah army. At least once per year, they're going to send out a da'wah army. What's the mission, the main mission of this army? To call the people to Islam, not to kill the people, not to take the people's land, not to plunder their resources. Could be they go call those people to Islam and those people accept and become Muslims, and then they just keep their country, but they're Muslims now. And they do get annexed, though. They get annexed to the empire, and they, for example, kept their country. And yeah, Muslims are going to be able to put bases there, for example. It's part of the deal here. So when that happens, this communal obligation I'm telling you about, sometimes some Muslims want to go. They're not registered soldiers or reserve army, but they want to go with the army. So uh, you need some money. In those old days, you might need a horse and armor. You're going to need armor and weaponry and even cash in your pocket. Maybe you need to stop at a stand and buy some food from the guy at the table. As a soldier, on tour, as they say. You're on tour now. You went out. So those volunteer ones, they are zakat recipients. So to sponsor their expenditure, I think that's the word, with such things as a ride and armor and weaponry and pocket change. And these ones, those are amongst the ones who can take zakat even if they're rich. And one more. وَفِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ. And someone on the way. Someone on the way means he's stranded traveler, for example. That's only example. I don't want to translate this as stranded traveler because not only stranded traveler. Someone might say Ibn Sabil means the son of the path. The son of the path. S-O-N, son. Just find it a little bit unclear. So Ibn Sabil, someone on the way. He could be someone trying to get back home, or he could be someone trying to take a trip. If he were stranded and he was in a zakat town, then he's a valid zakat recipient. He can take what he needs to get back home, even if he's rich in his own town. Or he is in the zakat town, then he can take zakat money to take a trip, even for leisure. Even for leisure. Allahu Akbar. If there were a caliph, he could go to the Zakat Department, say, yeah, I want to put in for some money to take a trip, even Hajj, for example. And then he can take a trip with the zakat money or make it back home with the zakat money. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. Any question? Now we're finished zakat. Now it's time to move on to fasting, and then to Hajj, and then to dealings. And then from there, more. Inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I am able to go through an Umrah lesson with you, inshallah ta'ala. You mean the next lesson, like next week? Yep, inshallah. Yep, we can do it. You're welcome. You said someone on the way, something like a refugee? Not exactly, because refugee is seeking asylum. That's what I understand from the word refugee. Seeking asylum. He wants to move away from where he is to somewhere else. So I didn't learn this scenario. He's a Muslim in the Muslim town, wants to be a refugee in another town. He goes to the Zakat Department, says, I need to leave this Muslim town that has a functional Zakat Department so that I can be a refugee seeking asylum somewhere else. So I never heard about this scenario. No, barakallahu feek. But like what I mentioned for you, he's stuck trying to get home so he can take zakat from the town where he's in. Or he wants to take a trip so he can take zakat. Even if it's not an obligatory trip, he can take zakat for the trip. Also amongst the rules of zakat is that the zakat money stays in the town of zakat. Each town manages its own zakat department. If you can't find someone to give your zakat money to, then hold it. Don't panic. Some reason, some people say, what am I going to do? I can't find anyone. So just hold it. That's it. And then when you find someone, then you give it to them. Barakallahu fikum. I enjoyed this lesson very much. And I've been waiting for this lesson too. I like this topic also. This is one of my favorite topics, the zakat recipients in particular. Among my favorite topics is the topic of najasa, the topic of menstruation, the topic, and amongst them is this one, the topic of zakat recipients. I find them very fascinating. MashaAllah. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.